Welcome back. In this session, we'll learn more about views. There are multiple areas of PWA where we can find views. Earlier, during our overview, we had a chance to simply navigate to the various areas like the Project Center and the Resource Center. Keep in mind that as a project manager, you may not have certain permissions like editing views. This topic gets covered in more detail in our administrator training, but it's worth going through here for those of you who are responsible for managing views as a project manager. Let's get started by simply clicking on the projects in order to navigate to the Project Center. Again, by clicking on the Projects tab, in the Data section, notice that there is a View dropdown. In this particular case, you'll notice also that there are some additional views in here, basically grouping by department and by owner. PWA is going to give you some out-of-the-box views, as we looked at earlier. What we want to do is to add and be able to edit views from these different areas like the Project Center and the Resource Center. I'm going to first click back on the PWA link to go back to the home page. The management of views can be found in the PWA settings of the tool. So I'll click on the cog in the upper right hand corner and go down to PWA settings. Again, for some of you who do not have permissions, you will not see the look and feel area. In this case, I'm logged in as the administrator, so of course I can see all of the different options. I'll click on Manage Views. The first thing I'll do is simply collapse the project category. And we want to focus on the Project Center views, and these are the ones that we were just looking at earlier. Now I can always simply click New View, and if I hit New View here, PWA is essentially going to want to know the type of view that I'm creating. An easier way is to simply make a copy of an existing view. Now, if I was to simply click on the link for a particular view, the tool thinks I want to go in and edit that particular area, in this case, view. So rather, I'm going to click right just to the right of, in this case, the summary view. By clicking to the right of it, you'll notice that the copy view becomes available. And that's what I want to do here. So I'll click on, right just to the right of summary, click the copy view, and I'm going to be prompted to give it a name. I'll remove the copy of, and I'll simply type in Module 3 Summary View, just like that, and click OK. Now the screen is going to refresh and then simply bring me back into this area, and I'll collapse that project section again, and notice that I can now see my Module 3 Summary View here. Now I can click on it to go in and edit this particular view. Once I click on it, probably a good idea to update the description of the view. And you'll notice right below that is a Fields area. Within the Fields area, you'll notice that on the left-hand side is a list of all of the available fields. Now keep in mind, this view was created from a very specific view, the summary view. And so the list of available fields are going to be limited to that type of view. And you will see different fields based on the view you happen to be in, or the one that you've made a copy from. In this case, as I scroll down, you'll notice that I will find not only the out-of-the-box fields, but any new custom fields that may have been created during the configuration of the environment. And in this case, I have the ability to add something like project departments. And so I'll click on the project departments and I'll simply add it by clicking it over to the right hand side. Now, as I mentioned, and you'll see this quite often, that if you hit the first letter of a particular field you're interested in, it will take you there quickly and easily. So again, I'm going to click on Project Departments and I'll simply hit Add. Notice that it pushes it to the last field in the displayed field, so I can now move it around in this list here, move it up or down. Now I'll scroll down just a little bit so we can talk about some of the other options, like the ability to change the field width. So there might be an occasion when you want to provide a narrower width for a particular field. You could also give it a custom label if you felt it was too long, which I could do here for something like Project Departments. Again, scrolling down, you'll notice that there are some formatting options here. You can click on the drop down there and see the different format options we have. Different outline levels. Also the ability to offset the splitter bar. You might want to push it to the far right hand side and open up the display a little bit. You also have some grouping options here. Not only how it's formatted, but then what are you grouping by? So in this case, if I wanted to group by project departments, I could do that here. Also, if you're grouping by a particular field, you typically will want to leave it as the last field in the list because it's going to push it to the far left-hand side of your screen. And you'll notice that you can continue to group it even further. You'll also notice as I scroll down the ability to sort it. So I could group it by project departments, and then I could also sort it by that. Then as I continue to scroll down, you'll notice that there is a filter option. So if I wanted to filter by a particular department, maybe IT or human resources, I could do that here. And then lastly, there are security categories. We don't go too much into security categories in this particular section. This is usually designated for administrators, but the takeaway from here is that you are basically saying that this view is available to these categories. So as a user, if your group association is also associated to these categories, this view will be available to you. So this is a way that you can determine which views are available to which users. And I'll go ahead and leave the defaults in here. So what I did here is simply bring over project departments and then group by that particular department. And I'll hit save. Now after having saved it, we will then go back to the Project Center. So I'll click on the Project Center there. From the Project Center, click on the Projects tab, click the View drop-down, and we see our new view. Right? Basically grouping it by the department it happens to belong to. And so you'll notice as I open up these different fields here that having the project department on the left-hand side or at the top of that list would not have benefited us because the department is already being distinguished here.